Muhammad was an Arab religious, social, and political leader and the founder of the world religion of Islam. According to Islamic doctrine, he was a prophet, sent to preach and confirm the monotheistic teachings of Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and other prophets. He is believed to be the final prophet of God in all the main branches of Islam. Though some modern denominations diverge from this belief, Muhammad united Arabia into a single Muslim polity, with the Quran as well as his teachings and practices forming the basis of Islamic religious belief. Born approximately 570 CE, and that he was a prophet and messenger of God, similar to the other prophets in Islam. Muhammad's followers were initially few in number, and experienced hostility from Meccan polytheists for 13 years. To escape ongoing persecution, he sent some of his followers to Abyssinia in 615. Before he and his followers migrated from Makkah to Medina later in 622. This event, the Hijrah, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar, also known as the Hijri calendar. In Medina, Muhammad united the tribes under the Constitution of Medina. In December 629, after 8 years of intermittent fighting with Meccan tribes, Muhammad gathered an army of 10,000 Muslim converts and marched on the city of Makkah. The conquest went largely uncontested and Muhammad seized the city with little bloodshed. In 632, a few months after returning from the farewell pilgrimage, he fell ill and died. By the time of his death, most of the Arabian Peninsula had converted to Islam. The Revelations literature are also upheld and used as sources of Islamic law. The name Muhammad, witness, reminder, and the light-giving lamp. The Quran is the central religious text of Islam. Muslims believe it represents the words of God revealed by the Archangel Gabriel to Muhammad. The Quran, however, provides minimal assistance for Muhammad's chronological biography. Most Quranic verses do not provide significant historical context. Important sources regarding Muhammad's life may be found in the historic works by writers of the 2nd and 3rd centuries of the Muslim era. These include traditional Muslim biographies of Muhammad, which provide additional information about Muhammad's life. The earliest written Sirah, and the work of his secretary Ibn Sa'd al-Baghdadi. Many scholars accept these early biographies as authentic, though their accuracy is unascertainable. Recent studies have led scholars to distinguish between traditions touching legal matters and purely historical events. In the legal group, traditions could have been subject to invention while historic events, aside from exceptional cases, may have been only subject to tendential shaping. Other important sources include the Hadith collections, accounts of the verbal and physical teachings and traditions of Muhammad. Hadiths were compiled several generations after his death by followers including Muhammad al-Bukhari, Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj, Muhammad ibn Isa at-Tirmidhi, Abdur Rahman al-Nasai, Abu Dawud, ibn Majah, Malik ibn Anas, al-Daraqutni. Some Western academics cautiously viewed the Hadith collections as accurate historical sources. Scholars such as Madeling do not reject the narrations which have been compiled in later periods, but judge them in the context of history and on the basis of their compatibility with the events and figures. Muslim scholars on the other hand typically place a greater emphasis on the Hadith literature instead of the biographical literature, since Hadiths maintain a verifiable chain of transmission. The lack of such a chain for the biographical literature makes it less verifiable in their eyes. The Arabian Peninsula was, and still is, largely arid with volcanic soil, making agriculture difficult except near oases or springs. Towns and cities dotted the landscape, two of the most prominent being Makkah and Medina. Medina was a large flourishing agricultural settlement, while Makkah was an important financial center for many surrounding tribes. Communal life was essential for survival in the desert conditions, supporting indigenous tribes against the harsh environment and lifestyle. Tribal affiliation, whether based on kinship or alliances, was an important source of social cohesion. Indigenous Arabs were either nomadic or sedentary. Nomadic groups constantly traveled seeking water and pasture for their flocks, while the sedentary settled and focused on trade and agriculture. Nomadic survival also depended on raiding caravans or oases. Nomads did not view this as a crime. In pre-Islamic Arabia, gods or goddesses were viewed as protectors of individual tribes, their spirits being associated with sacred trees, stones, springs and wells, as well as being the site of an annual pilgrimage. The Kaaba shrine in Makkah housed 360 idols of tribal patron deities. 3 goddesses were revered as God's daughters: Alat, Manat and Al-Uzza. Monotheistic communities existed in Arabia, including Christians and J.